Okay. Today we're going to be reinstalling this patio door. The reason being, for obvious reasons, it does have, stress cracks in it, and both panels here. The major reason that we're going to have to reinstall this door, one of the customer's concerns is that they're getting air infiltration at the top of these panels. And we ran a string line on this sill and on the head jamb. And the sill of this door is 3/8 to almost a half an inch swelled. There's a dip in the floor. The panels are adjusted as high as they can go. Mike, the service technician, has been here on numerous occasions to try to alleviate this problem. As you can see, the panels are sitting very low on the head jamb above. They're not sealing off properly, which means to fix this, we have to remove this, level the sill, straighten the sill, reinstall the door. Okay. So to start off, brought all our tools up. We're on the 10th floor of a condo in Clearwater Beach. We protected the floor. This customer has laminate flooring. So we created a path for egress, put a tarp down, plywood on top of it to protect it. This is where we're going to be assembling the frame. But we wanted to make sure we went the extra mile to protect the floor. Out here, we protected the surface on the balcony. This is protected from dust and debris. It took us 10 minutes, guys, okay? This is what you have to do to protect the floor, protect the surfaces on balconies, saves you a whole lot of cleanup time, and we don't get blamed for scratching people's floors and things like that. So take the time. It literally took us 10 minutes to do this. Okay guys, this particular door, there's an astracal on it. It's a 3-panel center operating door with an astracal. One of the issues we've had with this product, particularly the painted product, is they don't notch from the factory. There's a metal reinforcement underneath this vinyl cover, and it's not notched out sufficiently so that when the panel sets in there, when you move it, it scratches the paint immediately off the surface. What Mike is doing now is we're going to remove this astracal, take it right off, and remove the panel. When we reset this panel, which we are reusing in this application, we're going to mount the astracal back on here after the panel is set in place, which is going to significantly reduce the risk of scratching this surface when we install it, because we're not going to be popping it in on an angle and increasing the chance of that metal reinforcement piece rubbing on the paint. Underneath the screw cap, this is where the screws are for the astracal. As you can see, Mike is removing them now. They're a pretty long screw. So you have to remove the cover strip in this channel, the keeper, which wouldn't be on there until after you finish the job anyway. To access the screws, then this astracal will come right off. We're going to reattach it after the panel is set and adjusted. Okay, these astracals, they snap on and then the screw is applied. So after you loosen the screw, you take a block of wood like Mike just did in a rubber mallet and tap it off. Okay, guys, when attaching or removing one of these fixed brackets, you have to put a putty knife in between the screw and your gun to protect the finish, because if you don't, you're definitely going to scratch that paint when the head of the screw comes out or goes in. Put your putty knife there. Remove the screw. Off the floor. The previous installer pretty much tried to level the door with Vulkem and shims. Not the way to do it. The Vulkem is going to compress over time before it dries. Not to say this door may not have even been in the correct position when it was originally installed, but it may have compressed on the Vulkem or not been shimmed up properly, and now we've got quite a swell. So the guys are holding the string even in each corner, flush with the floor, on each corner. And then the center, well, how close you can get, Gavin, we've got almost a 5/8 dip on the outside. That has to be accommodated for. So what we're going to do, we've taken measurements. This is the high side of the opening over here. So it's going to be our starting point, and we're going to straighten it from there. Not necessarily level it, but we're going to straighten it from that point across by attaching a string in each corner and using that as a guide for where we're going to put the concrete. Okay, what we went ahead and did here now was, because we have the room, we decided that we're gonna actually level this door. These doors in this condo are sized to fit in the elevator, so it leaves us a little short in the top. That being said, it allows us clearance in this particular opening to be able to level it. So we ran a string along the bottom. That string is level. It's actually flush in the corner, and as you can see, it goes up approximately an inch and dips again in the center. So we're going to pour our concrete to that line. Very important, before you pour your concrete, you have to use bonding agent to attach to any kind of foreign surface that you're pouring concrete on top of. Whether it's painted or bare concrete or anything. Any impurities that are in that existing floor will cause the new concrete not to stick. I've seen it happen, and we've had to replace stuff that wasn't done properly in this regard too. So bonding agent, ultra important. Also mix a little bit into your concrete when you're mixing your concrete. It helps to attach itself to the bonding agent as well that's on the floor. Okay, we're going to be putting the frame together now, and this particular extrusion, it has a very narrow, thin sealing surface. More on that when we get to the sill, but Jeff's going to apply a bead of caulk along the frame here on the edge. Then there's the number 2 by 2 inch or number 10 by 2 inch square head screws that we put together, the frame together in the corner. So go ahead, Jeff, put the sealant on there. Okay. Take the side jam. All goes together nice. Hold it in place for Jeff. Screws in there. You probably can't see it from here, but yes you can. The caulk is oozed out the sides, which will clean off after Jeff gets the screws in.
You know what I mean? Like a butt tile is probably what we're gonna end up doing out here anyway, so.
Yeah.
Once the building gets painted and everything gets done.
Yeah, it's a process.
Even before that, I'll end up with a painted tile.
Okay, once that's complete, we're going to do the other side off camera, and then we're going to get to the sill. We'll go over the sill assembly. Okay, now we're going to put the sill to the jam legs. Once again, the sealing surface, that's S-E-A-L-I-N-G, on this extrusion is very narrow. What happens with this door is water can get into these channels. When we put the sill screws in, we're going to go over that as well. As you can see, the extrusion's hollow. Water runs to the corners. Even if you think you have the corners properly sealed, by the time the caulk dries, you jack this thing into the opening, the seal can fail here. The caulk can dry and the seal can fail. So what we're going to do is completely fill these cavities on the end. Just fill them with caulk, and then put the door together on each end. Okay, so why don't you guys go ahead and do that. We'll start on this end down here.
Yeah, fill that first. You can turn that. Did you already seal this down?
Yes.
Just check.
Is that completely filled up? Fill those cavities, those honeycombs, completely with caulk. And as you can see, everybody, what we did first, before we even attached the sill to the jam legs, we put the high back on, it's caulked. we set the tracks for the rollers, and also in this particular case, the screen rail cover, because this particular door does not have a screen. So we pre-assembled all this in place before attaching the sill. Much easier to do these things beforehand than do them afterwards. Okay, one last step that we're doing on the corners here, and I really want everybody to start doing this as well. We're putting window tape, applying it to the corner as a last line of defense for water to leak out of the corner of the frame
We're leaving an
and
inch,
cause water infiltration.
cut it back an inch, you know what I mean?
Right. As Mike indicated, the tape is 6 inches. This particular frame is 6 inches. We cut it back an inch. Okay, while Mike and Jeff are finishing up putting the frame together, I just wanted to show you the finished pad. Now this took about an hour to do, but it's going to save 2 hours worth of nightmare trying to straighten door panels out to an unlevel frame and getting slabs to fit the frame properly. Take the time, pour this slab. It literally took an hour. Not a big deal for 2 guys to do this. Okay, we're going to get ready to set the frame here in a minute, and Jeff is laying the classic truss pattern of Vulcan bedding to the subsurface. When he's all done with this, which looks like he is, as you can see, there's liberally built up in the corners on each side. We're going to set this frame down into it, not splooge it across it. It's very important that when you set the frame, you set it down into it, even compression. Okay, we've Vulcaned the bottom, we've set the frame. And what we're going to do is 4 corner it. Put 2 screws in the bottom of the sill and a screw in each corner. At that point, or before that point, you should take a diagonal measurement. We know the sill is level. We've leveled it. So we know the sill is level. At this point, you should be able to take a diagonal measurement, opposing corners, and get an equal measurement. Your jam legs will be plumb. You can take a level and plumb them if you want, but taking a diagonal measurement, fasten your sill screws first, and then square the frame. You'll be fine. What we want to do is go over the importance of what we do on these sill screws. Okay. What William talked about earlier was the fact that water gets inside this extrusion. It can carry down to the ends and leak in the corners. We don't want that to happen. So we have to try to keep water. It's not enough just to caulk the screw to keep water from going around the threads of the screw and getting into the concrete. We have to completely seal off this hole to keep water from getting inside this extrusion. And we're going to give you an example of how we do that right now. Mike's going to completely fill that hole. The hole has been drilled, we vacuumed it out. He's dipped the screw in caulk and completely filled that hole. After driving the screw, completely cover the screw with Vulcan. Mushroom it right up and make sure you've got a proper seal and clean it off just like that. On every single sill screw, that's how we want it done. Okay guys, we're going to start setting the panels. One of the biggest mistakes that we see in this is, number one, the wheels improperly adjusted. What you have to do is adjust them all the way up once the panel is set, and then back it off 2 turns. Never use an impact gun to do this. If I ever catch anybody using an impact gun to do this again, you're done, you're gone, okay? Ruins the rollers, ruins the adjustment. Once again, number 3 screwdriver, hand turn it. Adjust the wheels all the way up, back off 2 turns. Then we'll do our final tuning once all the panels are in. And what we're going to do is set all the panels. We've discovered that on this door, we've got it 4-cornered, we pre-drilled all the holes. This particular door, we can get all the panels in there and still be able to get at the screws to do the final fastening. The object behind that is, I've seen so many of you guys struggle to get these panels in. You set the frame, you foam it, you put all the screws in, and you're toast, you're done. If it's too tight, or you're off just a little bit, you can't get those panels in, or they have to be pried in, which is wrong. So what we're going to do is we left the top loose, which allows us to set the panel. The jam moves if it has to. We've got the room and the height, and we can easily set our panels. Once the panels are all in, we're going to run a string, and we're going to straighten that head jam to the string. Okay guys, another important step that gets missed quite often. Fuzzy pads, air infiltration. They go on top of the panel. Typically they will come on top of the panel. Sometimes they fall off. Sometimes they're not on there. They have to be on top of that panel. If they're, please check to make sure that they're there. If they're not there, there's always plenty of spares in the box. Okay, we've got all the panels set. We've adjusted the wheels up all the way, backed them off 2 turns. We've got all the panels preliminary set. All the screws are loose in the head jam, so we're ready to go. We run a string line. Okay, notice we've got a little bowl in our head jam. Now we're gonna tighten the screws to the string line. Okay, we've got the door pretty much all set in place, panels in, head jam straight, and we're putting in shims. The door we took out had no shims. Basically, foam was shimming the door. That's a no-no. Foam is very expensive. We don't use it to shim doors with. Anyway, so we got shims at all the screw points. We're going to be finishing off the side jams. There's one thing I want to go over with you very quickly. This door is an OXXO door. But you all know what that means. Any O panel is a fixed panel. What you guys are not doing is, and what's very important, is that if you get the screws in here, the screw cover has to go on here before you set this panel. The reason for it is, air is chimneying up through here. And it's one of the problems of the customers having with this particular door is that it's got severe wind infiltration, air infiltration, which we're trying to avoid this next time, which is why we've been so careful and so intricate with putting this door together. So the screw cover has to go on before the panel slides over the top and the bracket gets put in place. We're also going to put 2 foam fuzzy pads down here. Very important on what we've done. And we talked about the stationary panel, the screw cap having to go on to cut down on the chimney effect. Goes on here and also has to go on the upper channel. Because what's happening is air is blowing up through and coming around. It's causing a chimney effect. We've got a fuzzy pad here in the corner, which is still going to allow water to drain out of here. We've got the foam pad underneath that, which goes in the weep portion of it. Fuzzy pad in the corner on top. Okay, this is very important, guys. It's going to cut down on air infiltration. Okay, at the beginning of this video, when we were taking this door apart, we removed the astragal. Remember we talked about the ease of removing the astragal as opposed to trying to lift the astragal panel out and move it and running the risk of scratching the paint. Now we're going to reapply it. Now normally we wouldn't put the keeper on first, but because we reuse this panel, we have to put the keeper back where the existing holes are. Normally you would remove the astragal, put it back on, and then set your keeper. Once the door, the door lock is in place and you've made your marks. Now what Mike has done is use number 10 screws instead of number 8, which typically we're seeing used. You should pre-drill these and use a number 10 screw, self-tapper, on these keepers. Okay, so we're just about ready to finish this up. We've got all the panels in place. Mike's doing the final adjustments on the locks. The whole key to the installation of this door was we got the sill straight and we got it level, which made adjusting these panels a breeze, and this door is going to work perfectly. So take the time, get your sills level and straight. It makes the rest of the job so much easier. The only thing left to do here now is we've got to foam the top, put our RWD on, caulk it, clean it, and this project is going to be complete.